My guest today binds two families who've shown lifelong commitment and dedication to theatre, music, and dance in Newry and beyond. As a young girl, she dreamed of becoming a member of Newry Musical Society and has played many roles with the Musical Society, with Newpoint Players, in the Pantomime, with Newry Bosco, and the Panto Players. With Newry Musical Society in Fiddler on the Roof, she played the role of Golda, and like Golda, she's handed on a tradition of song, of dance, and of music. And like so many in the town, it all began with the fish, Eithne Bell.
Whenever I was about 4 years old, I was sent to elocution classes, as you say yourself, to Margaret Rush. And she was she was only a young girl, sort of starting out herself. And I had difficulty in speaking. And so mommy was recommended to send me to elocution classes. And I think she was regretting it to the day, God rest her. But because I haven't shut up since. But no, went to Margaret Rush and started in the fish. And then whenever Margaret left to get married, I went to Kathleen Bell, never ever thinking at this stage she'd end up being my mother-in-law. The first show I possibly would have done would have been The Sacred Heart.
Right. Okay.
And that would have been Her Ladyship. And then 2 years later did Maid of the Mountains. And it was the time whenever the audience were invited on the Sunday afternoon. And I remember Charlie Smith, once again, dear Charlie, coming up and saying to me after the show, "What age are you? Whenever you're 16, will you join the Musical Society?" Well, I thought I'd never get to 16 to join the Musical Society. Yeah.
You couldn't
And
go
then
fast enough.
Oh gosh, indeed I could not. But a couple of years previous would have gone along. He said, "Sure, come along and sell programs." And at that time you had to put on your evening dress, a long dress, and stand there. And you felt that important, selling programs, because the Musical Society, Margaret Nolan, Charlie Smith, all these fabulous people, Wesley Livingstone on the stage, just thought, oh, when will my day come? So loved it. Loved it.
There's a connection that I didn't know that we had, because in the school show, and the only school show that I performed in was Maid of the Mountains in the college.
Right. And what character were you?
I was Lieutenant Regini.
I was Antonio.
And I had
Charlie's part. Yeah.
I had one line.
Right.
6 years in Devil's Island. And the other funny connection with that, now that I think about it, and I hadn't thought about this before until you told me you were in Maid of the Mountains. Maid of the Mountains that year in the college was produced by Kathleen Bell.
There you go. Yeah.
So
great shows.
It's a small sort of world, and yet a big world that we move into, isn't it?
Yes, totally. And apart from that, Declan, do you not remember the year we done the score in Banbridge? And you were probably representing Glen, and I had been asked on the Friday night, will I represent the Mitchells? So I went to Grandma Bell and I says, have you anything I could say? She says, great wee poem. Oh, I don't know, you call it. So I learnt it, went into the hall in Banbridge, down long wee side way, in the back. You were there, and I says, Declan, I only got this. If I mess up, will you prompt me? You said, certainly, no bother. Went out onto the stage and I started, I don't know. And I'm listening, whether you couldn't hear me or what, but I ended up just saying, thank you, I'm going off the stage. I couldn't remember the first line of it. And I just thought out of that hall I would never get. Most embarrassing time ever.
I'm so sorry. Crazy. I'm so sorry.
You're not being jealous, maybe.
If it had been won. If it had been pantomime, I would have thought I did it deliberately. Okay, I don't know, Eithne. I don't know what happened. Yeah. Don't know what happened. I'm sure it's water under the bridge.
You don't know.
It's funny. It's funny. Some of the names that you listed off there as well. I was just looking earlier, and this is sort of a point of reference for me. For so many, certainly my era was the Golden Jubilee Fish in 1978. And I do remember there was a great last night of the fish that year, and they had fireside singing, and then they had light opera. and you were singing in the songs from the shows that year, and
Okay.
there were
Hmm.
other great names like Vivian Hand and Una Lawless, Magella Mathers, Marita
Very good.
Mathers,
Yeah.
Ethna Morgan, and I bet you can't remember what you sang that year.
I think, well, knowing me, it might have been I'm Just a Girl Who Can't Say No, or
Well,
else it was, prompt me, can't remember.
it was Can't Get a Man with a Gun.
Oh, it was horrendous.
Not another one. Oh my goodness. This isn't going too well. Shall we start again and do the good, go down the good line where you remember the lines and you enjoyed the song?
I didn't have a clue about that one. It was awful. Oh
Right.
no.
Well, there you go. Ethna, it's been lovely talking to you, and I'm sure,
Oh God,
I'm sure it can only get better.
no. You learn by your mistakes. Yeah.
No, what I was actually going to say was that following on from that, there was a class number 85, and it was a solo duet or trio, non-competitive, open to previous prize winners aged 21 years or older. And it had Mick Mathers and Nuala Neary and Kevin Neary
Oh,
and Wesley
yeah.
Livingstone and Charlie Smith and Sheila McDonough all singing in it. And, those are names that you've already
Great crack.
mentioned, but
Yeah.
who have rounded that tradition of music and fish and plays within
Oh,
Newry.
mhm. Yeah.
And I think now if there was a class number 85 for over 21s, your name would be in there. Part of that heritage.
And I'd try and sing something they would know.
Looking at Kathleen Bell and John Bell, and I was looking at again another fish program, and John was on the committee and Kathleen was on the committee.
Yeah.
And within your family as well, there was a great
Yeah.
tradition of involvement and giving
So,
time to the shows and the
yeah.
fishes.
Mummy was music secretary for years, and she just loved it. She loved during the whole time of the music section. She was up, and dinners were prepared by us, and she was up early in the morning, way out. And then, of course, she would have loved entertaining the adjudicators come the evening time. Oh,
Yeah.
sure, you'll come up to the house for a wee drink afterwards. She just loved it, and loved planning the program and cleaning the cups. And we were all involved in that too. Yeah.
And
Great crack.
there was a great array of cups that used to sit on that table at the back of the stage, wasn't there? When you
Yeah,
think
and
about
I'm telling you, whenever Mummy was there, even though people would have cleaned them, she said, "Come on, get those cups shone up." And there you'd be sitting, shining the cups before the music section started. Yeah.
so at 16 then when you decided, or when you could progress from being a program seller in the town
Yeah.
hall to becoming part of the musical society. What was the show back then? Can you remember what that first show was?
Oklahoma. Oklahoma was my very first show.
Uh-huh.
And funny, it was Kira's first show. And that was the last show that Grandma Bell had produced for the Musical Society, because then Red Jeffries arrived the following year.
Uh-huh.
But with Oklahoma, great show.
And that was the Oklahoma then. That was Oklahoma that went on the Parochial Hall.
Charlie Ali Hackam and Margaret Nolan was Edo Annie.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Great partnership there with Charlie and Margaret.
Yeah. And
Fabulous partnership.
the musical society gave that real opportunity to people as well, didn't it? That opportunity to bring you on and develop your skills and develop your stagecraft.
Yeah. I remember it was Ray Jeffries. He came to me. He'd been producing South Pacific and that, and then he came to me and said the year that we were doing was it the Showboat, and he said to me, "There's a wee part," he said, "I want you to audition for," and was Minnie Fay. Uh-huh. And I just loved it, and then sort of got the parts after that.
Yeah.
The young comedian and whatever. Just loved every minute of it.
But you've played the comedian, but you've also played the very serious roles as well. And do you have a preference as to play the comedian, playing serious, or do you like to mix it up?
I love to mix it up. I love the comedy element of it, but then you can really get into the characters whenever you're doing serious bits. But now my favourite musical society roles would have been Dolly and Golda in Fiddler. Uh-huh. And the Golda one, now that was more a serious part. Yeah. There was the wee comedy in with it. And then with Newpoint, I loved Beauty Queen and Juno. Loved playing those two roles.
Well,
and the Bosco, it would be Honk and I suppose Miss Hannigan and Annie.
It's funny you should say Juno and the Paycock with Newpoint, because when I was talking to Donal O'Hanlon, probably last week or the week before, he sent me a note afterwards and he said, you asked me about my favourite moments and favourites, and he said one of my favourites was directing Eithne Bell in Juno and the Paycock.
Oh, brilliant play. Just loved it so much, because there is the comedy and there's the her relationship with the Paycock and whatever, but then the very emotional scene at the end. Oh yeah, fabulous play.
How do you get under the skin of the characters? Because you've been on the stage for quite a few years and played quite a few different roles. How do you work through? You don't just get the script on a Friday night and go, I don't know.
Oh gosh, no, don't. No. Well, I suppose I sit and I read it and read all the parts to get the different characters that are involved, and even the stage directions. And I picture everything in my head. I would be a picture person and just sitting listening. I can just picture the whole scene in my head, and I love studying the characters and picking out wee things that will help you to develop it, something to say, or somebody makes a remark about the character.
Do you ever get tired of that creative space of the town hall? Do you ever come back onto stage and go, oh, here it is again? You
must be joking. I can't wait to get back in again. And it's just, as you said, like it's the second home. And even with the children growing up, the children were involved in different plays and everything, and just, it was nearly their second home too.
I mean, you brought them on in steps nearly, Eithne, into the shows.
The Lament for the Land, Michael Durkin's Lament for the Land, there were 10 bells on the stage, because there were the 9 of us and Grandma Bell as well. And then the children they did set dancing in it, and it was just marvelous to have them all. And I remember we were on for 3 nights in the town hall, and the second night we went down, and I had the children down early to get the makeup and everything on. Remember them sitting up on the stage, and I was getting things sorted. Next thing, come in, you have to evacuate, there's a bomb scare. And so we had to go out, and the people were stopped trying to make their way into the town hall. And there we were taking the children and them all the makeup on underneath the barrier. But then we went back in the next night and was a full house for the last performance of it. Yeah.
But that's brilliant, isn't it, to have that sense of that whole family involvement in a story on a stage.
Yeah.
We need to rename you the Von Trapps.
Well, now I know, as far as the musical society was concerned, like Ciara and Maeve were involved, and then during the meetings they would say, we need dancers. Eithne, will your boys come in? And I said, well, I don't know. And then Donal and Mary Fagan, God rest her, would have said, leave it to me. I'll give them a wee ring. Don't say no to me. And sure, they knew rightly, Kevin Brenton and him, they couldn't say no to Mary.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at that, you talk about musical society, and you've been with Bosco as well, and the Panto. Done quite a few of the shows with Charlie with the Panto as well, Eithne.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. Do you know what it is? You're always delighted whenever you receive the phone call from Charlie to see if you'll be part of the play, or if you were going to be part of the pantomime. And you always love to receive the phone call from Newpoint to say, I think they're doing a wee play, would you be interested in doing this part? Because with the musical society in the Bosco, you go along, you're the member of the team, whereas with the pantomime and Newpoint, it's not that you're handpicked, but they know what parts suit you and when they would like to get you involved.
Yeah.
So all those phone calls, yeah.
And I think sometimes the choice of play can work. And I know, talking to some of the directors, they've looked to make a choice of play knowing who is available and who can play the parts. So they're working to everybody's strengths and giving everybody opportunities to stretch themselves as well.
Oh, stretching yourself. Never in my life have I ever been part of anything like Metamorphosis. To have the opportunity of doing a play like that was just unbelievable. You would never get that opportunity. It's just, I love how creative and how adventurous the producers can be, like Sean and Donal and whatever. It's fabulous. Newry don't realise how lucky they are with the creativity and the talent and everything. I feel sorry for anybody who doesn't live in Newry. I'm not serious. Whenever you think of the bands and the other groups, like some of us were so lucky to have been part of Vocal Score, Mary McManus's choir.
Yeah.
And our last performance, we were actually in Stormont, and they did it for KBRT. And the opportunity of singing in Stormont was, like, just to say that you did that was marvelous. But, and like, again, challenging music, and Mary's ear for music and everything too is unbelievable.
You were talking about the 10 bells involved in Michael Curtin's Lament for the Land. But that generosity that you inherited from your mom, of the time that she gave and the time that you gave, you've passed that on to your family as well. And I know, for example, Kevin was great for me, because when I was doing jigs and reels out in Glen, he came out and gave his time and helped out and helped us out with the jigs and reels, and that was such a success. It was
that was a great thing. Yeah.
Well, if you're looking back over your musical society days, Eithne, have you to date got a favorite role? Is there something you could pick out that you went, yeah, that was really special for me?
Well, I felt as though Dolly was a great achievement because it was such a big part, really big part, and there was so much involved in that. And of course, it was with Charlie was Vanderbilt, and so like that was fabulous to be working with Charlie so closely there too. Yeah, I loved the part of Dolly.
Within the Bosco, then a slightly different type of show.
Honk. I loved playing the mummy duck in Honk, because like that, there was so meaningful whenever she realised he wasn't the ugly duckling, he'd grown into a beautiful swan, but you had to let him go. No, it was lovely. Yeah, I enjoyed that part too.
But you were talking about Fiddler as well earlier, and you had a family pulled together for Fiddler.
Fiddler and 42nd Street.
Kevin, Brenton, and Eamon involved in that.
Yeah, and it's been lovely because several shows, there was 42nd Street, Kira and myself had the two female leads, and the same in Fiddler on the Roof. And we played together, like in Oliver, she was Nancy and I was the Widow Corney. But it's been lovely to share the stage with Kira at times like that. And then, of course, Maeve. But the girls are, I suppose, more involved than the boys were there for the dancing and that. But to be able to act opposite my daughters has been marvellous. Great, yeah.
Have you ever had the ambition to direct a show yourself, Eithne?
I wouldn't know where to start.
You would.
Not a bit of it. No, that would, I think that would really put me outside my comfort zone.
Well, maybe now is the time to step outside that comfort zone. You've had a year off.
Oh,
gather yourself.
No, I think
step forward.
I think it would be too much.
Play.
No way. No, I like being leave somebody else in charge. I wouldn't know all about all the lighting and the scenery and getting all that tidied up and sorted.
Soon learn.
I suppose you can learn. What is it? You can't teach an old dog new tricks.
I think we've established Dolly would be your favorite part. So, looking at shows, then, would you have a favorite show, or is that going to be Dolly as well?
Well, I like a show that involves everybody, all age groups, sort of thing. And maybe it was because it was the first show. I love Oklahoma because I think there's plenty for young and old. The boys get dressing up as cowboys. There's the lovely ballet scene in it. There's the and whenever you're listening to a show like that, whenever different songs come along, say, "Oh gosh, I forgot that song was in that." Yeah. Oh, that's another fabulous song. I think No, I love the show Oklahoma.
But one of the things that I certainly enjoy watching and getting involved with are the Panto Players and Charlie's plays. You must have enjoyed those.
Great crack. And Charlie will just say, you'll go out and you'll be given your script, and Charlie will tell you exactly how he wants you to do something. And he's fantastic man. And you can always have, it's one of those times whenever you're on the stage, and if you catch Charlie's eye and he has a giggle or somebody has a giggle, like you really do, it is that shaking. The last one that we did, I was one, and she took these pills and she had this itch or something. But Dennis Walsh was up the stairs way, sort of facing me, but he had the moustache. They kept on falling off. And every time we turned around to the audience, the moustache was going, well, they were in fits and we were in fits, and you're biting the inside of your cheeks to try and stop yourself from laughing. And I think that's all part of the fun. And like Charlie will always say, right. No, Charlie's plays are good fun, and he fills the town hall every time.
Yeah.
Oh, every time. Yeah.
People love it.
Love it. Yeah.
You know, and I think when we get through this and come out the other side, people will be looking for fun and enjoyment and music to
oh, indeed they will. The opportunity. Do you know what it is? It's sitting in the evening saying, no rehearsal to go to. Gosh, you miss singing, you miss acting, you miss meeting people and having the crack. And because like that is our life, going from one show to the next.
Listen, Eithne, it's been a real joy to chat to you.
Thank
you. I really have loved all your performances down through the years, and the variety and that you bring to them, and the dedication that you bring to the societies as well, and the time that you give and you've given to your family as well, and they give as well. So listen, thank you very much for all that, and we look forward to our razzle dazzle post lockdown show.
Please God, there'll be a hell of a razzle dazzle. Indeed there will.